If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. Thank you.
It's your time for Chai with Nanice. Get ready for substance, clarity, change, and especially empowerment. Get ready to turn over stones, uncover stories, and get to the heart of the matter in every area of your life. Any mood runs, any emotion flies, and your dreams are within your grasp. There are no limits or boundaries, and your comfort zone is out of reach, yet it's the safest place you will ever be. Come in, sit down, and have some chai with Nanice.
Welcome to Chai with Nanice. I'm Nanice. Take a deep, deep breath. An amazing journey is about to begin. You will not be the same by the end of this hour, I promise. My extraordinary guest today is Byron Katie. And Byron Katie has just one job, and that is to teach people how to stop suffering. When Katie appears, lives change. In 1986, at the bottom of a 10-year fall into depression, anger, and addiction, Byron Katie woke up one morning and realized that all suffering comes from believing our thoughts. Questioning every painful thought she had, she developed an amazing method of inquiry that she called the work. The work asks 4 simple questions that turn stressful thoughts around. When you work with a thought, you see around it to the choices beyond suffering, ending suffering. Katie has been bringing the work to millions around the world for more than 20 years. Her free public events, weekend workshops, her 9-day school for the work, and her 28-day residential turnaround house bring liberation to people everywhere. Byron Katie has written 4 best-selling books. Her newest book, Who Would You Be Without Your Story? Dialogues with Byron Katie, was released in October 2008. Katie, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nanice.
I am so honored to have you here today and to be spending this time with you. It's a real honor for me, so thank you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So I'm quite aware that many of our listeners today know who you are. We've spoken about your work on the show for a very long time, and I should also mention that April Perry Kreitzer, she's on the show today with us too. Are you there, April?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you so much.
Awesome. And for those of you who have been listening to the show regularly, you know that every time that April is on the show, we always talk about, Katie's work and what an extraordinary difference it's made in her life. And so I want you to share that at some point, April, in the show. But first, Katie, would you share your story with our audience? I mean, would you share how you got to this place of awakening?
Well, Nanice, I was very depressed and extremely suicidal, and agoraphobic and very paranoid. I was very, very mentally ill, and one day, as I lay sleeping on the floor, actually one morning, as I lay sleeping on the floor, and I slept on the floor because my self-esteem was so low. I was so full of self-loathing that I didn't believe I even deserved a bed to sleep in. So I would sleep next to my bed on the floor. So that is confusion.
Yes.
And, some people can understand it, but that's pretty dramatic.
Yes.
And one morning, as I lay sleeping, actually a cockroach crawled over my foot, and I opened my eyes. It's like I woke up 2 ways. I opened my eyes to a world that I couldn't identify. I had no name for anything. I had no name for me, no identification whatsoever. And then in a moment, the mind, all those thoughts just hit me all at once. It's as though there was no thought. and then boom, the mind hit. It's like I woke up before the mind did, or it's like my body and eyes opened before my mind had a chance to act. And I saw in that moment, it's like in that moment where nothing had a name, all of a sudden there was a sky and there were windows and a ceiling and a floor and a me and an everything. And I saw in that moment how the mind and what we're believing creates the world. It's like someone told us, this is a tree and this is a sky and it makes no sense to a baby.
Yes.
But then there's that moment when we believe, and in that moment it's as though we're born to this world that we all seem to be experiencing now. And like someone could say, Byron Kathleen, like my mother used to say, Byron Kathleen, and that's when I knew, I was doing something wrong, but the child doesn't really know what it is,
right.
until we're taught. And the moment, I didn't know who she was referring to, who she was talking to. It was as though I was that experience on the floor. I didn't know what anything is. And then in some moment, I believed I am Byron Kathleen. That's me. And in that moment, you're born. In that moment, I was born, and prior to that, who am I?
Right.
Who am I? So then, Nanice, they say, no, this is red, and this is blue, and this is up, and this is down, and this is male, and this is female, and this is right, and this is wrong, and this is, my goodness, no wonder we're confused. We're supposed to remember all these meanings, not only for things and people and situations, but we're supposed to have several meanings too. We're supposed to have meaning for words, and the meanings are so vast and many.
Yes.
And we have got to be crazed trying to hold all of this together.
It's a lot of rules.
Oh my goodness. And if we don't get it, there's something wrong with us. We're not doing it right, and we feel separate and lonely and afraid. And so, while I was on that floor, the important thing that I came out with, after all these years, 24 years, I came out with one important thing. When I believe my thoughts, I suffer. When I question my thoughts, I don't suffer. And I've come to see that this is true for every human being. For all of us. And if someone says, what is your name? I'll say Byron Kathleen Mitchell, and my married name, and people don't ask me if I believe it or not. So I can say it. It's just that I've questioned it. And I don't necessarily believe that. And, it's good if it is, it's good if it's not. My mind's wide open. I am no longer confused. I am open. It's like I am living out of a new paradigm, and I am watching people catch up and catch up and catch up, and I'm watching peace. I'm watching the end of fear. I'm witnessing it every day, and it's nothing short of remarkable.
Yes, I've been witnessing it as well, and it is extraordinary.
World.
Yeah, this is a great time to live.
To wake up from a world of suffering and to find another paradigm, and then to go back and through these questions and inquire in so many beautiful ways that we have on this planet, to wake up out of that old reality of suffering and begin to make the real changes that we can make. Love is action.
Love is action. I often say, Katie, that only love is real, and when you remember that, everything else takes care of itself.
So true. And love lived looks like, how can I serve you?
Yes.
How can I help?
Yeah.
And living out of that gratitude, just to be that free.
Yes.
That it doesn't have to be about the self. It can be about others.
Mm-hmm. It seems to me that up until that time that we awaken and literally wake up to who we really are, that our needs, our emotional needs run us, and they run our lives, and they run everything in our lives. And so what that looks like is that we're always looking to get our needs met from other people. And that can be a need for love, affection, appreciation, understanding. There's a whole list of needs. Of course, it's all reduced down to love. We're just really asking others to love us, but it doesn't always come out that way or seem that way. So the real freedom that I have discovered in my life, and also what I teach, is that when you can understand the needs that are running you, and you can own those needs, become responsible for those needs. So for me personally, I had a huge need to be appreciated. And this ran my life for years and years and years. And I didn't know it until I found myself in a relationship with somebody who wasn't appreciating me the way I thought that he should appreciate me. And I just kept doing more and more and more, and sacrificing myself, literally my time, my energy, my core being. I sacrificed myself so that I could finally get him to appreciate me, so that I could feel, good and whole and worthy. And I played that game for many, many years. And then one day I woke up and I realized that I had been playing that game my entire life. And in that moment it stopped. And so the relationship did end after that, because it had completed its mission, so to speak. But what happened for me is that I owned that need for appreciation. And I realized that if I am so desperate to get that from outside of me, that I am willing to sacrifice my very soul in order to get that's something that does not support me in my life. And at that moment, I owned that need, and I gave it to myself, because I realized that if I'm looking for other people to fill that need, that must mean that I am not giving that to myself. And so I completely turned it around and started appreciating myself just on the deepest level in every way. Not with like, okay, I'll appreciate this part, but not this part, because I don't like that part, but this part's okay. I started to appreciate all of me, warts and all, right? And it changed. And I stopped looking for others to appreciate me, to match that need. And in that place, in that space, I freed myself. Just as you're talking about how you woke up on the floor with a cockroach climbing over you, and you freed yourself. You found your own key, and you unlocked the door to who you really are, and suddenly you start to your thoughts.
What happened was I just noticed. I noticed how the mind works.
Yes.
And it affected me as it affected you.
Yes.
Yeah, where we wake up to ourselves, and it radically shifts.
Yes.
It's like, how can I expect people to appreciate me if I don't appreciate me? I'm asking them to do something that I don't even do.
Right.
What you say makes so much sense.
Yes. Yes, and if this is true for everything. And if somebody's not sure, what need is running me, it always goes back to love. It always goes back to love. And I've said for many years that there is one cure-all for everything, and that's unconditional self-love. That's it. If you can create the space and give that to yourself, and unconditional means unconditional, no conditions, that heals everything. Everything else takes care of itself at that point. Would you agree with that, Katie?
Oh, my goodness. Unconditional love is like us. And anytime we put a condition on that, then we feel it. There's a separation. We've created a separation. So if we can identify what we're believing and question it, in other words, do the work with it, then we're released. We wake up in exactly the way you're describing. It's
yes.
Oh, my goodness, of course. And there's no going back. Once we no longer believe what we believed, there's no going back, because it's so clear that we were in some kind of dream world. And so this, the work is a way to identify, for those of you wondering, the work is a way to identify and then to question the thoughts that you yourself are thinking, the thoughts that cause all the suffering and chaos and violence in the world. And in your language, it would be the thoughts that are keeping you from that unconditional love.
Right.
From your true nature.
Right.
To identify those, and feelings will let you know when you're believing them, and then question them, and then you are back as your true nature, love without conditions, without conditions on yourself and others. And some people hearing this, that can be a little unsettling, and for some people it can, they can experience this is even fearful.
Yes.
But if our true natures are kind, and for me it's not a but, that is just how it is. And the way that some of you listeners can test it is anything that is unlike love, anything, if you look out at the world and you just notice your mind, and if it judges anything as less than beautiful, less than good, less than for you, then like, in other words, you look out and you experience this negative judgment on something, you're going to feel that. It feels like stress. It's disturbing. On a scale from 1 to 10, you'd find your own, but even a little, it's disturbing.
And you notice it.
When you notice it. So that's the point where you become so sensitive. You can ask yourself, what am I believing in this moment? And identify the judgment, and then do the work with it, and wake yourself up, and that condition drops, and love lives. Love is left. And love you can't do anything about. It's like, I did the work, I questioned what I believed, those negative thoughts, and I am left caring about my fellow man, and there's nothing I can do about that, because I am left with no negative judgments that I can believe. And as far that's as far as I know, but my mind is totally open to what's left. And because what do I know about the future?
So who is asking the question? So if we've got this thinking mind, so that must mean something other than the thinking mind is asking these questions and questioning the thoughts.
No, it's all mind. Mind questioning itself.
Mind questioning itself, yes.
The work is about the end of the war with yourself, the end of the war, mind with mind. If mind is no longer doing, if you're no longer doing war with yourself, how can you do war with the world? So it begins with each one of us to end the war in our own heads.
Yes.
And to do that, the mind questions the mind. And it's as though on the left you have this troubled mind saying, they don't care about me, no one really cares, and I'm not worth anything, and I can't do it, and I don't know what to do, and these negative concepts, and experience the stress that goes with those. Yes. And then on the other hand, we'll say on the right side is this mind that doesn't bother to argue. It just sits back in all its wisdom. But then in the middle, I bring this work to the world, and it's so simple. Anyone with an open mind can do it. So let's say you think, no one cares about me, no one cares. And then the question, let's say, there are only 4 questions in the work, and then we turn the concept around and take a look at that. But the first question is it true? Yeah. They don't care about me. Is it true? Second question, can I absolutely know this is true? They don't care about me. Third question, how do I react? What happens when I believe that thought? And then I get very still with it and close my eyes, and I witness how I react when I believe that thought and what it does to my life and what it does to the life of the people around me, how I affect the world as I'm believing that thought, and the addictions that begin right there. That's where all addictions are born. And then the fourth question, after I witness that third question, the fourth question, who would I be without that thought? Who would I be if I didn't believe that? And I'm not saying don't believe it. I'm just asking, who would I be if I didn't believe that? What would life be like without that? And then just to close my eyes and contemplate that fourth question. And these questions are always free on my website at theword.com. Go there. Everything I have that has any value is free. It's there. It tells you how, everything. There are a lot of things to buy and unnecessary. And then I invite people to turn the concept they're working on around. And they don't care about me, turn around, they do care about me. And that can be very difficult for some of us that are so convinced to do, just to even consider an opposite. But then I ask that you find examples for that opposite. They do care about. They do care about me, and to find genuine examples, not positive affirmations, even though they're helpful. We're looking for the real thing right now, right here, right now, the genuine, because we don't settle for anything less. And positive affirmations, they really are dear and they work because they're closer to our nature. But I was in a hurry and I had to know now. I was so close to, oh my goodness, just, that no way out depression and confusion. So, that's the work. And again, anyone with an open mind can do it. And
beautiful.
You know what I love about it, Nanice? It doesn't take a teacher. It doesn't take a coach. It doesn't just your open mind and the willingness to ask.
Yes. The willingness to ask. Yes. Yeah. And then, these. It's like if you can do it, I can do it. Yes. Yeah. I loved what you said about the caring that is it true that this person doesn't care about me? And what it reminds me of is when I was 16 years old, I was in a horrifically abusive relationship and escaped with barely my life. And, I was totally convinced that this person who was physically, mentally, and every other way abusive towards me did not care about me. I really believed that to be true. And maybe that was part of my process to get out of the relationship. So it served me well then. But hindsight, looking back, I see that was not true at all. I see that this person cared about me so deeply that he loved me, and he just didn't know, maybe a higher vibration of expressing it. Yes,
terrified terrified of not pleasing you, and it comes out like anger and confusion and oh my goodness. Yes. My goodness. Today if I think like maybe he doesn't care about me, I think, oh my goodness, I hope he does better, because it's so painful not to care.
Yeah.
And I still am left with don't know, that don't know mind. Yeah. But, when I walk into a room, I know everyone loves and cares about me. I just don't expect them to realize it yet.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Yeah. You are so right when you say it just all happens inside of our mind, and nothing really is happening out there. It's all really going on inside of us. And how I explain that is that we are projecting our own fears and beliefs, and this could be, any range from the less desirable to the more desirable out onto the screen of our life. So it's like we're the projector. Our subconscious mind is the projector, and our lives are the projection screen. So whatever is happening out there is really just a reflection of what's going on inside of me. So if I don't like how something's showing up, or if I don't like how someone is treating me, what that really is telling me is that I don't like how I'm treating myself.
Yeah.
That there's something inside me. So I use it all as feedback. And in that way, it becomes everything that happens it's empowering, because I can never blame anybody else about anything. That I'm responsible for everything. I'm responsible for everything.
Yeah, you have come to understand that the world is a mirror image of your thinking, and you're using that mirror to wake up to yourself. It's very beautiful, very powerful. We get to understand what the world's for. So the world is whatever I believe it to be.
Yes.
And if I believe it to be negative, and I question those negative thoughts, I'm left in a beautiful world.
Right.
But until I do, I am left with what my mother believed, my father believed, and their parents and their parents and their parents, and the neighbors and my siblings and the world, So at some point, I just had to go to source. I had to go to myself to see what is true for me. I had to take my own mind back and get still with it. And these questions, oh my goodness, they are serving millions of people.
They sure are. It's extraordinary. I want April to come on in a second and share her story, but I have to share a funny story with you first, Katie. And for the most part, I live what I preach, so to speak, and that is I'm responsible for everything. Even if earlier today I was driving home after getting my son from school, and there was a little car accident, and instead of judging it or whatever I might have done in the past, instead I looked inside myself and said, okay, how am I responsible for that? Not responsible like I influenced the driving, but responsible in the fact that everything that I experience in my life, including that which I witness, is really a projection from my subconscious mind. And so the work happens all inside of us, as you know. Yeah. So I invite the universe, I invite my higher power to show me areas that I haven't moved through this yet. And usually the universe is very kind and gentle with me. And a situation like this happened a couple of weeks ago. And I live, a nice little community in Salt Lake City, Utah. And one morning I woke up and I heard the roosters cackling. Is that what you call it? I don't know. Roosters do, the cock-a-doodle-dooing. And I didn't think anything of it. Yes. Oh, yes. And I didn't think anything of it because I knew that my neighbor behind me had roosters, so I didn't think anything of it. And it was a Sunday morning, and I was just kind of sleeping, and I got up and I let my dogs out, and one dog is 7 years old, and the other's a little puppy, 6 months old, and I let them out. And when I went back a few minutes later to let them in, Shelby, the older dog, came in, but the puppy didn't come in. And my first thought, oh, he got through the fence, and where did he go, and got to find him and all that. And I was still in my pajamas, no shoes. I went out the back door to come around to look for him, and there he was eating a live rooster in my backyard. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it was very disturbing. I started screaming at him to stop eating this rooster. As a result, many of my neighbors called the police. So we had the police show up shortly after that. But in the meantime, I was so outraged at my neighbor that, it was his fault. And I went storming over there. And, I hadn't even brushed my teeth or combed my hair or anything. I'm in my pajamas. I'm barefoot. And I'm knocking on his door. And he answers the door. And he's all, kind and sweet, because he always is. And I just said, your rooster flew into my backyard. And my dog is eating him. My dog ate your rooster. And I'm like, all hysterical. And I'm like, and he's a vegetarian. And I know that my dear sweet neighbor Neil wanted to say, well, I guess not anymore, but he was afraid to, because he thought maybe I was going to hit him. And, Katie, I don't know, I might have. And so he very calmly said to me, would you like me to come and, pick up the remains? And that seemed like the most stupid question I ever heard, because of course I did. Because I'm in this place of blame and judgment and all that, and, And then he came and he picked up the remains, and the rooster, I don't want to get to that part. So, and the police came, and then the police were asking me, what happened, because all these neighbors called the police because they heard screaming, and, I had to explain this to them, and the police they were literally laughing at me, which I didn't think was funny either. So now I had this whole big story going that it's my neighbor's fault that my dog ate his rooster, that the police are laughing at me, that my dog is no longer sweet and innocent. I just went on and on, and the story kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And of course, this is part of me, that's just observing the story and letting me kind of live out the story, just to have that experience of the story. And so hindsight, after I calmed down, what I realized was that I was so angry at my neighbor because the identity that I had placed on my sweet little puppy, whose name is Neo, after the Matrix, was shattered. I had, envisioned him as this sweet, kind, little, loving puppy, and, we're all vegetarians here, and he's a vegetarian, and, all this. And to wake up and find him, eating this rooster alive, it was so devastating to me that it shattered my identification with him. It shattered my beliefs about him, and I projected that out onto everybody, including the rooster that he ate. It was just completely projected. And now what I understand is that the universe was trying to show me that in holding an identification on anyone or anything still causes me suffering. And so it's allowed me to look at that. So, with my children, it's been an easy process. I don't have an identification that they should be a certain way. But I had this cute little loving puppy, and I believed and obviously the universe demonstrated to me that.
It's like there were two puppies. There was the one of your imagination.
Yes.
And then there was the real one. And you were awakened,
yes,
to
yes,
who and what the puppy really is, as opposed to the story that you had superimposed upon this animal. And so it's fearful when you wake up to the real world, or wake up from the dream, as you imagined the world to be.
Yes.
And then and what brought this up for you at the beginning of the conversation was this automobile accident. And I call them on purposes, automobiles on purposes.
Yes.
And when you look at what you woke up to, it's what everything is for. It's why the puppy eats the chicken. It's why, it's what everything is for. There's a perfect universe running here, and our story about it doesn't match it.
Right.
And as long as we believe our thoughts, there are two worlds running. The world as we believe it to be, and then there's the real world. And the real world is beautiful. It's
so
what
beautiful.
we're believing about that world. How could this vegetarian dog eat this turkey? Well, he's not vegetarian.
Yes, exactly. That was my projection onto him. What was interesting about the whole situation was that I found that after this happened, I just didn't have the same feelings for Neo, my puppy, anymore. And it was like every time I looked at him or petted him, I just kept seeing him eating this rooster alive in my backyard. And this went on for maybe a day, a little bit longer. And then there was a point where I just let go of my perceptions, my projections about, who he should be.
Yeah,
and
in the face of reality, there he is. And so you stopped arguing with reality.
I stopped arguing with it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
That he's not like this, awful animal that eats, kills and eats live animals, and he's a
very sweet puppy who just does what pups do.
Exactly. And the truth is that only in this place where they both came together could I find an even deeper love and appreciation for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the acceptance.
Yeah, and for the turkey that would serve that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for the neighbor that would serve that.
Yeah.
And on and on. All
Yeah.
for you. All
And
for us.
it's brought me to just this deeper experience of love, which is what I believe all our experiences in life are destined to be, that we are constantly being guided towards awakening, waking up to who we really are, waking up to a greater truth, and that there's nothing that happens in my life, there's nothing that happens in anyone's life that is not directing us to waking up. That it's like the universe or our higher power is conspiring on our behalf. And so even when these undesirable things happen, or maybe especially when they happen, it's really guidance to help us wake up,
Definitely an opportunity to just notice, the winner is reality.
Yes.
And it is for me. And
yes.
We wake up to it or we suffer.
Yes.
And what I love about reality is it's always kind.
It's always kind.
Always kinder than our story about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because it really does love us. It loves us. Everything loves us. We just have to awaken to that.
Its true nature simply is that. It doesn't move left or right. That's its nature.
Right.
That's why any thought that would oppose what is beautiful is we're going to experience that as suffering.
Right. Exactly. April, are you there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Awesome, cool. Well, I would
April.
love you. Yes. So, April, you were at Byron Katie's training seminar in June of 2008. Is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Yeah, the 9-day school for the work in Florida.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you speak a little bit about that and also share what happened just shortly after coming back from the training?
Well, the first part of it was the actual journey of getting there. And that was one morning I woke up, and I just knew I had to go to Byron Katie. And it was strange for me because it was something I was thinking about or anything. It just propelled me, and it was so strong that I absolutely had to go to the school. And at that point in my life, I was extremely depressed, went through years of abuse, and just felt very lost in who I was. And I just woke up just a strong feeling. I knew it was just going to change my life, and I had to go. And so I actually went on to your site, Katie, thework.com, and was checking out the school. And the next one was in Florida, which was in 3 weeks. And I knew I had to go. And I had no idea how I was going to do it, try to get the flight, try to get the money together. But I just knew I had to be there. And it was in this moment of things weren't looking good in the next few days of how I was going to do it. I mean, it just seemed impossible. And I remember talking to Nanice and saying, what am I going to do? I know I'm supposed to go. I know it with everything that's in my soul. I know I have to go, but, everything's just pointing no, 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 no. And I will never forget what she told me. She told me it was up to me whether I was going to go or not. The choice was mine. Because I was like, I know it. I just know I'm going to be there. But why is it not working? And as soon as she said that, I knew I was getting there, even if I had to walk. I was getting there. I don't know what you have done with me, Katie, but I was getting there.
Yeah.
She caught you up to yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. And so you've shared a lot with our listeners, over the last year about your experience at the training. And it was a completely transformational experience, was it not?
Oh, absolutely. And the biggest thing was, and now I understand why it was Florida, because it was my first experience leaving completely alone, being completely, utterly by myself. And part of the school is you give up basically your life for those 9 days. You give up your family, your possessions, everything. And it just really gave me the space to just really be with my mind, be with my thoughts, be with my beliefs. And a lot of the activities,
it's like we part the waters for you. It's just like the invitation, set everything aside and let's get this job done. And oh boy, sweetheart, you did your work.
Yes,
and
you
I
did.
interrupted you, so keep. I love hearing this.
Well, I want to jump to the punchline, if that's okay. And and that is just weeks after you came back from the training, April, you and my son got married after a 12-year relationship. And there was no accident in that. There was no accident. And in your transformation, so many things were cleared from the past, and you have a history, of abuse and depression and, many, many other things. And in that 9-day intensive training, all of that was just washed away because you stopped believing your thoughts, you stopped believing your stories, you started to embrace Source, really. And by the time you came back, you were completely in this clear, present place. And, just weeks later, there we were at your wedding. And I should mention that any day you're expecting a baby, right?
Yes.
It's ready to pop, right?
Oh, and April, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. Oh my goodness, to come into the world with a mommy that oh my goodness, well you know. My goodness.
Yeah.
Our children are as confused as we are, and they are as clear as we are. I'm watching these babies that are being born of people like you, April, that know how to question their mind.
Yes.
That know the power of truth. That truth within them, that pool of wisdom that the work taps us into, these 4 questions tap us into. And these children are phenomenal. They're amazing.
Yes.
In California and maybe in other places, other parts of the United States, Nanice, some of our teenagers are now, it's like a fad going on where they step on the railroad track when there's a train coming and take themselves out. And, when the parents are frightened, our climate changes, our water source, our on and on and on. The parents are frightened, and our children are saying, well, this isn't for me. And, it's just really quite remarkable. They're believing their thoughts, their parents' thoughts. It's like us as parents, we say what we're believing, what we're thinking, believing unchecked.
Yes.
We're frightened. The children believe it because we are leading the way with the things that we're believing and speaking of, and we're so sure of it, in our oh my goodness, you know what I'm saying. The children hear it, and it's leaving them no hope.
Right.
We're wiping them out, and we wonder why they stand on railroad tracks. But April, people parents who can question what they're believing. They're in that don't know state of mind. Their minds are wide open. We can hear our children. We can learn from our children equally and share what works and what doesn't work rather than insist and punish. And oh my goodness, it's powerful. It is so powerful, so powerful. And Nanice, we come at them the way that you described that state of fear that you were in for that short period of time.
Yes.
in that state where the puppy with the turkey and angry at the neighbor, chaotically the mind doesn't know where to go with it, and it's looking for a solution. And in time, we find it. And inquiry, the work is about shortening that time, that distance,
right?
So that those concepts that we're believing, they melt away, and it leaves us with these open minds in a whole new way. The mind is entirely creative, and if we're not stuck in things like, he doesn't care about me, I can't do it, there's something wrong with me, I'll never get over it. When the mind is stuck on concepts like that, it is not free to create. It's busy believing what it thinks, and it stays small.
Right.
So
and it will keep seeking out. Yes.
Yeah, the mind opens up, and it's unlimited. It knows how to heal a planet.
Yes.
It's child's play.
Yes.
The hard part is trying to believe these thoughts that we don't believe.
Right.
It's like we're a human race doing everything we can to believe the negative, and trying and working our best to believe it. Whereas if we questioned it, we are popped open, and solutions are in front of our face. Fear is blind. It is deaf.
Yes.
And it is deadness and depression, and oh my goodness. I have April, and Nanice, I have a 28-day program here in Ojai, and I go there every morning. I'm in town, and oh my goodness, it is so amazing watching the shifts, and well, you all know the power of you two know the power of how simple it is just to pop through.
Yeah.
And
it's so
question
simple.
our thoughts and find ourselves in a whole other paradigm.
Right. Right. It's like the door to freedom. Everybody's looking for freedom. And in a nutshell, the way that I would say it is, don't believe anything you think.
Yeah. Yeah, of course we would if we could. We wouldn't believe it if we could stop ourselves, but we believe it until we question it.
Right.
And then after we question it, we're left believing it or not. And if it's stressful, it's not enough. It wasn't enough for me to say it's not true. That wasn't enough. I had to test it inside of me. I had to prove to myself what was true and what wasn't for me, not the world. And that's the power of inquiry to and there are ways of learning it, like life will show us, life will wake us up, or for me that direct path that I found to question what I believe about life. And it was, for people like me, people in a hurry. And I have found that all ways serve that.
Yeah. Beautiful. Katie, how can people get in touch with you and find out more about the work and what you have to offer, and where they can come sign up for all your wonderful workshops and trainings?
Well, thework.com. Thework.com, and it's all there. It's all there.
Awesome, and it is an extraordinary site. It's just beautifully done, and you could just feel the love. Just go there just to feel the love.
People who have been in a practice for a while, another way to get in touch is through 1,000 Names for Joy. People have been in a practice for a while. That book, what I hear is the shift is radical.
Yes.
And then the text for the work is Loving What Is. And of course, these are all at local bookstores.
Absolutely. And all your books are absolutely amazing. Start with any of them, read them all. They're just amazing, as you are. I am so honored to have spent this time with you, Katie. You are just divine love. You are just divine love shining forth.
Thank you. Thank you for you. And I'm so happy that you have this amazing April in your life, and that April has you and your beautiful son.
Yes.
Oh, yes. New one coming.
Yes. His name is Alta. That's his name.
Oh,
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you have any closing words for our listeners today, Katie?
Oh, suffering is optional. Identify what you're believing and go to thework.com and those 4 questions and the process of the work, 4 questions, and turn it around. And also there's a new film coming out, Jenny McCarthy production, and that's on, you can find that at thework.com also. Also on YouTube there are videos of where I'm doing the work with people, and so hopefully there's something for everyone out there.
Yes.
And the work works if your mind is open to it.
Yes, the work does work. Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you so much, Katie. It was an extraordinary adventure, and I hope to have you back on the show in the near future.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for you and the world and for serving all of us here.
Thank you. I love you, Katie.
And you, sweetheart.
Good night.
Nice chat. I like having chai with you.
Oh, thank you. I like having chai with you, too. Awesome.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So take another deep breath and just let everything that you have just listened to and experienced integrate within your body. That's right. And please, let me know what this experience was like for you. Email me. Visit my website at nanice.com, nanice.com. You can email me from there. And there's an extraordinary journey just on my website alone. It is a journey of awakening. There are tons and tons of articles, free song downloads, even a free book, my I Am book, which is extraordinary. If you like today's show, you will definitely love this book, I Am, and it's a free download right on my site there. And let me know who you are. Let me know what's calling you. Let me know what you want to hear on Chai with Nanice. And remember, you are unconditionally worthy right now. And when you remember that, everything changes, because the truth is, only love is real. And when you remember that, everything else takes care of itself. Till next week, you've been listening to Chai with Nanice. I love you. Bye.
Thank you for having Chai with Nanice. Please go to www.nanice.com for great free stuff that will empower you to live your best possible life. Free books, articles, shows, meditation audios, and so much more at nanice.com. That's nanice.com. Nanice's books are also available in all major bookstores and Amazon. Check out The Infinite Power of You, Even Gandhi Got Hungry and Buddha Got Mad, Zest Point, Lip Prints, and many others by Nanice Ellis. To find out about one-on-one coaching and how Nanice can personally coach you to experience your best life possible, please email mybestlife@nanice.com.
If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And please join me on my website at nanice.com. That's nanice.com. Thank you.